So I want to make sure we have, because you're private, and the president kept this process pretty private for President Trump. Were you offered the job?
I can't say there was an actual offer, but
he said, sort of, if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't want to go too far. He was very encouraging. This happened very quickly and very surprisingly. I mean,
did he call you on your cell phone? I mean, how did it go down?
He did. He called me, and they found me at a meeting of a corporate board I'm on in Chicago. That was a week ago Tuesday, really, very recently, and said, I'd like you to think about whether you want to be director of the FBI. I think you'd be great at it. I mean, I'm sure he said that to other people, and I'd like to talk to you more about it. And my first reaction was just honest. Mr. President, I'm honored that you'd asked me to think about this, but honestly, I'm very happy with my life now. I
know that to be true. I know your wife. I know that too. But was there part of you that thought, because someone said it's such a mess, Senator Lieberman would never go in, and I said, you know what? That's why he would. I mean, was there part of you that thought this might cap a career? Did you think you could help by going in? What was your personal?
Yeah. So you wrestle with it. You got the good life. You're spending a little more time with your wife, your children, grandchildren. We've been blessed with 11. I'm very busy. I'm half-time at the law firm working on advocacy groups like United Against Nuclear Iran, No Labels, etc. But here comes the call, and you know, it's in my blood to say when the President of the United States asks you to do something to serve your country, you've got to really think about it seriously. And yes, part of the challenge was to step in and try to restore respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which I deeply respect. And part of that, strangely enough, for somebody who comes from a political background, is to have a director who lowers the profile and just has the Bureau do what it's supposed to do, fight terrorism, fight crime, do the best investigation.
So that part of the job appealed to you?
It did.
And you thought seriously about doing that?
I did think seriously about doing it, call to service, a certain amount of pride. Yes, I can do this and make a contribution, but then on the other side, of course, was big change in life. I was 40 years in elective office. I've been out for 4 years.
You're aging in reverse. I don't buy any of that. Let me ask you, though, you interviewed for the job the day that the president got one of the biggest bombshells of his young presidency. It was the day that Bob Mueller was announced as special counsel. Can you tell us what the mood was like the day you were there, and if that changed any of your calculation about whether you'd want to run the Bureau while Mueller was investigating Russia ties?
Well, it did happen that day. It was a strange coincidence, but and I could see that as I walked in. But our conversation really was about the FBI and him making an appeal to me why he hoped I would do it, and me giving him some of my ideas, same I just spoke to you about. Listen, the men and women of the FBI are the best in the world at what they do, and it would have been an honor to be their leader and their advocate. But I also told him why I was hesitating, and a lot of that was personal, and he urged me to please think about it. He called me the next night, Thursday night. He said, I wanted to decide it by tomorrow morning before I leave for the foreign trip. I don't know if I can do it, think about it, and then I decided to postpone it, which was really fortunate for me, because I just heard 2.5 days before about possibly an upheaval in my life. Let me come back to what you said about Bob Mueller, and I'll just give you what was sort of a surprising answer. To a certain extent, the appointment of Bob Mueller as special counsel made me feel that itself would take some pressure off of the FBI.
I knew you were going to say that would reassure you.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Mueller and I and his wife Ann, wonderful people, happened to be neighbors of ours when we were in Washington. So he's a straight shooter. And I thought, okay, the FBI agents will be working with him, but now he's going to separately, accountable to the Justice Department, not the president, take on this investigation. That made me feel better. You
know Jim Comey, too, though. Did you reach out to Jim Comey while you were deliberating?
I honestly don't know Jim Comey. I may have shaken his hand once, but I don't know him. I called two friends who were former FBI. One was Bob Mueller, and the other was Louis Freeh, who served during the Clinton time. And
did they tell you to take it or not take it?
Louis, I think it's fair to say, was very affirmative. And Bob Mueller said, and I understood because by then he had been asked to be special counsel. He said, this call is your call, but here's what the job is like. You come to it with a different set of skills, which is to say, not immediately out of law enforcement, or although I've done law enforcement, or the judiciary.
You were AG of the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, but he said, you can do it. You'll do it in a different way. And
were you surprised that your friend Congressman Crowley from New York was very pained when I pressed him last Friday about whether or not he'd support you? He ended up saying no. Were you surprised or pained that some Democrats were resistant to the idea of you as FBI director?
You know, I was disappointed, although I guess when I stepped back from it, I wasn't surprised because everything is so partisan in Washington, and there's still a group probably on the far left of the Democratic Party that still doesn't forgive me.
But you weren't as mad as your friend John McCain.
That's why I love John McCain.
we all love John McCain. John and Lindsay, unfiltered, right?
Yeah, because they expressed my anger.
Yeah,
and
for us. We don't have to be mad.
Calm.
Let me ask you about something I know bothers all three of you, and
Yes.
that is this question of Russia. Donald Trump today at NATO refused to affirm our commitment to Article 5, our commitment, and I know you and John and Lindsay, the three amigos, are known for traveling to America's allies, the ones that are the most vulnerable from Russian aggression. How do you feel that we have a president today who refused to affirm our commitment to our most vulnerable NATO allies?
Well, I was disappointed that the president didn't say that he would support the entire NATO charter, including Article 5. I was reassured that Sean Spicer apparently afterwards said, of course he
Because he's so in the loop?
Yeah, so I can only, I'll offer a fourth or fifth alternative explanation to what your excellent panel just had on. Maybe the president sees this as something he wants to almost use to get the NATO nations that are not paying as much as they should.
But why wouldn't you play hardball with Russia? Why are we playing hardball with NATO?
Yeah. Well, look, they have, I don't, there's not a good answer to that, except to get them to pay more of what they owe. Listen, there's nothing new about this. Every time McCain and Graham and I went to European capital or visited NATO, one of the things we always said to them is, you got to spend more of your money on defense. We're carrying beyond our fair share. So there's nothing new about that. But of course, we always believed in Article 5. It's the key. We got to defend each other.
Are the questions about Trump's team and their ties to Russia getting bigger, and are there more dots, or they're getting less for you?
Well, there's a lot swirling, so that's why it's good we have Bob Mueller. I mean, in my mind, and I thought John Brennan, the former CIA director, said something interesting, that sometimes the Russians develop relationships with people, and they begin to use an interesting word, suborn.
I saw that.
Sort of creep into their brains and then make them dependent, and that's a key question here. I don't think that kind of relationship reached President Trump at all, but there's a question now raised about a few of the people.
Mike Flynn, Paul Manafort,
who
keep
worked
on investigation.
So they have to defend themselves.
My last question before I let you go back to your wonderful life, and I know it is, would you take another job if it was a right fit? Would you answer the call to serve in the Trump administration?
I might, depending on what the circumstances were. I mean, when Mark Kasowitz became special counsel, it was clear to me, with everything swirling in Washington, you can't have a director of the FBI coming from the same law firm as the president's private lawyer. It's just, it looks terrible. So that was that. But
that was sort of
again,
the nail
I
in the
believe
coffin.
in service, and to me, there's no higher calling. So who knows what the future will hold.
All right.